1986 we had a tour of Scotland, and at the end of the tour the Continentals who had been on the tour sort of said, could we never have a Treffen in Scotland? So we thought about it carefully, and I wrote to all the Scottish tourist boards, and eventually we decided to come here to the beautiful home of the Duke of Athol, and we've gradually sort of worked from there since late 1986 until this weekend, and hopefully everything will come off good and the weather will be fine. I've been the main event coordinator along with Duncan Mitchell, and last year we appointed a Treffen committee, site manager, marquee manager, a creche for the children, and all of the little jobs. There's people responsible for those, and I'm really the person who ties everybody together and makes sure they're doing their job well. Everybody who is attending this weekend has been sent a comprehensive information pack with colour booklets in, a map of Scotland, tourist information and literature, and that's been posted out all over Europe, into America. So they've had a lot of information before they came, because we knew that people maybe wouldn't travel all of this way to Scotland unless they were coming on holiday. So we've tried to encourage people to come on holiday and to finish their holiday here in the beautiful grounds of Blair Athol. The Scottish Tourist Board and Jim Todd at the local tourist office have been absolutely wonderful, and the Duke of Athol and the factor here at the castle and everybody. I cannot say that initially, you know, as a motorcyclist, you contact people and there's visions. People have a lot of preconceptions regarding motorcyclists, and the factor at the castle, oh golly, I mean, with his grouse shooting and everything, he had sort of certain preconceptions. But I can honestly say he's been excellent and a good friend, and he's helped us along once we've had talks, and he knows what we're like and so forth. On the tour, which happened just before, we stopped in Northumberland, and we had Tyne-Tees television covering the tour in Northumberland, and they were interviewing members of the public, and people were saying, we've seen nothing like it before, we didn't know these sort of bikes existed, and they were really just mind blown regarding the types of bikes that were around. So I think the members of the public generally, you know, they're just amazed that these sort of bikes exist, because in Scotland there's only maybe 4 or 5 or 6, you know, around in Scotland of the new ones, and it's very difficult for a member of the public to see one. And to see a lot together is just magnificent sight. Scotland's a very friendly place, and unlike certain areas of England, the Lake District and some other areas where maybe they've had trouble in the 1960s and the late 1970s, you know, from motorcyclists, small groups. It's like lots of things, like football, for instance, where small groups affect the majority. The people up here in Scotland have been really wonderful. Everybody's, you know, welcomed us and everything, and it's been super. People walking past Blair Athol yesterday and walking up to the castle were saying, can we come in and can we look at the bikes and what's happening and all sorts of things. And they, you know, they see that we're normal people, intelligent people and well-organised people and hopefully likeable people. And I think, yes, it's part of our role. It's part of our role to change that.
Funny enough, we have an organisation here today which has a lot of motorcycles in, but it isn't new, because my father, he was more or less like John. He organised the one spec motor club, which is the one which was based in Northumberland, and we used to go to a little place called Long Horsley. I remember, in a field very similar to this, and the same activities. It's like history repeating itself, actually, being here today, and I'm very delighted to have been up in Scotland at this one, because I shall be 80 next year, and I don't think I'll get to another one.
Well, we've always taken our holidays on the bike, right from when we first were married, and as soon as Daniel was born we saw no reason to stop this, so we decided to put the sidecar on and take him with us, and he's travelled with us from being a very young baby. I used the bike quite a lot. I caused quite a stir when I used to take my son to school. He goes to a small school, and most of the children, when they saw him arriving, they started asking their mummies to take them to school in their bike in a sidecar. I use it quite a lot. I use it for work, and it's a form of transport to me. We had a couple with us on the tour from Berlin, and he rides a 1200 Goldwing, and she rides a 1500 Goldwing. So there are quite a few of us around, and the numbers are increasing. The more ladies who see other ladies riding, they get the idea and they start badgering their husbands.
I'd never even heard of a Goldwing. So I was riding around on the CX500 and I came up on a Honda showroom. And I saw this beautiful black beast. I fell in love with it straight away. And in fact, I would say that goldwinging is a disease. Once you've caught it, you can't get rid of it.
It has been delightful for us to see you in our midst. We have welcomed you as you have arrived through Pitlochry, and we are so glad that you are here. We welcome you with open arms. We know it's a long time since you've been to Scotland. I believe it's about 10 years since you've been to Scotland. We hope that you really enjoy this visit, and I have very much pleasure in declaring this Treffen now started.
Voor onze Hollandse vrienden wil ik het even vertalen. We hebben allemaal veel plezier hier, een mooi weekend. Mensen gaan trouwen morgen. Maar helaas is er een zwaar ongeluk gebeurd. Een jongen uit Duitsland is verongelukt, is daarbij doodgebleven. En we willen dat graag een minuut stilte om dat te gedenken.
Many of you know this particular person who has been in the Goldwing Club or the Goldwing family for many, many years. Werner Klein, our German colleague and friend, unfortunately was killed today. And we would like to have 1 minute silence. If you could take off your hats, please, as well.
The friendship between the English, the British and the Belgians are very tight, and that's why the Belgians come so often to Britain and the British come so often to Belgium. I was once here with the car and this is the first time with the motorcycle. But it's a beautiful country. Scotland is, yeah, the people is warm, there's the hospitality, there's, well, it's nice here. I surely will come back.
Okay. Ready? Jullie roepen, dan is de roep. Maar heel van aard, de klok, hè. 3, België, 2, Kom maar! Ah, kom op die inderdaad. Ja! Hey! We gaan vanaf de komen.
Okay.
Yeah. Go! Hey!
Hey, how about us? Remember the ball again, you can do it. How about us? Let's go.
In Holland, there are about 300-400 members. So compared to the English club, it's a small club. Holland is the first club who started all the Treffens, and well, it all went out like this. Big Treffens all over Europe. You take a holiday and maybe put in some Treffens in your holiday, but also you take a longer weekend. For instance, for us, it's not far for us to Germany, so or to go to Belgium, so that's not a problem.
So it only needs Friday off, or maybe an afternoon off to go to a Treffen.
Right, we want to talk to you about the games now, because we've been watching your form and we think you're the favourites.
Until now, maybe.
I hope. How about tomorrow? How do you fancy your chances for the rest of the events?
If the Germans don't inscribe, then you can put in a lot of weight.
It's not only a matter of strength, but also of technique.
Techniques, yeah.
It's fun.
But your technique looks pretty good.
Oh yeah.
We've seen the famous GWOCGB do it.
Yeah.
So
television.
we're definitely gonna be #1 here.
We ring him and he told us everything about the games, and we do it.
You know, and we sport every day. We sport every day.
Drinking.
Come on, Andri. I don't like you standing in there. Come on!
21 foot dead!
Dead? Hey! Precies op het bosje. Give it a try. You're in short.
Hey. 28.4.
Okay, have you got it?
Okay, yes.
Yeah!
Yay! 15 points!
15 points! Nou, wordt veer hier.
Die wordt steeds lichter. Dat valt uit elkaar kruis.
As it goes forward, throw it up. That's it. Oh.
And she did it all right with practice. Give her 5 points. You meet people from every country. It's nice.
And do you make friendships which last?
Oh yeah. For years and years and years.
With all the people, yes. We talk. You see every time the same people back on these different Treffens. You see nearly every time the same people, so...
What sort of form do these friendships take? I mean, do you write to each other maybe, or
during the winter you don't drive, but sometimes you go, you take a car or a plane and see them, and
it's all different. But when you pass by their address, you drop in and have a talk and go further.
It's normal for us to drive a lot in a weekend, go to Italy or Sweden or...
Yeah, just for a weekend.
I always met the same people as other Treffens.
It's always the same.
Have you thrown the caber before?
We don't want it.
No, never.
But it is very light.
First time.
It's not heavy, you know.
They have games on all Treffens, but all different games.
All different.
It is
Here they do
special
the island games
games.
in German. It's beer drinking. I think.
And Holland weer cheese throwing or something like that.
And do any of you ride your own bikes?
Most of the girls
It was the missing girl.
But you haven't brought them with you, have you? Do you come?
And most of them, if on a long tour, it's also expensive to come, like to Scotland. The ferry is very expensive, and if you have to take 2 bikes, and then the kilometers add gas to it, it's too expensive.
Would you run a car as well as a motorbike, or is it just
Yes.
A car.
For the winter.
For the winter.
Yeah.
With the snow.
For shopping,
And for the snow.
So it's quite an expensive hobby then. I mean,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
But you are our hobby.
Together, it's no problem.
No.
You can do what you want every weekend.
Most people in Holland, men and women work. So.
And you've got a motorbike and a car. And you like more the motorbike. Only the car for winter, for shopping.
For shopping.
Yeah.
Well, this is Willie and Pilar, and they came to our stand yesterday morning and started asking for 1 or 2 pieces of gear to go on the bike, and it was getting a big mountain of gear, and he said, can you fit it? And we said, yes, we would.
Yeah.
And we started working on it yesterday afternoon at 3 p.m. and finished this morning at 6 o'clock, and it's not finished yet. We've got another 4 or 5 hours to do tonight, so I'll show you what we've done on a stock bike. Right, we'll take the cover off now, Willie. There we go, stick on the trailer. When the bike came to us, it was actually stock, more or less. There was very little chrome on the bike. And we started, God knows where. We changed the rotor covers at the front, the fork brace, the steel, fender extensions, start up the grills, the lights, the ascent panel, well done. We added add-ons to the windscreen, trim around the windscreen, mirror ascents, various chrome strips right the way around the bike. Partially had to strip down the fairing and put it back together again. We have these on here to guide the air away from the rider and passenger or towards. These were already on the bike, in fact. There are various clip-on covers and stick-on metal parts. So Willie's climbed on the bike to show how comfortable the bike can be, and it's probably the most comfortable bike in the world today. And you can see from here the various trim that's been added to the bike overnight to improve its looks. The bike has a radio and cassette system in here, which is quadraphonic, 4 speakers, 2 at the front, and there's 2 at the rear. We'll see them later. What else does it have? An intercom system, which plugs direct into the helmets. It's got cruise control here. What else have we got, Willie? The radio display, channel display, is digital and lights up in the mid-screen here. There's a headlamp adjustment knob down here for adjusting the height of the headlamp. This is for switching the radio on and off during, whilst you're riding without taking your hands off the grips. When the rider is cruising at a constant speed and light traffic conditions, he puts his feet up on the cruising boards on both sides. Gives a nice relaxed riding position. To show off. Here we have the compressor. The bike has a built-in compressor for suspension, and the rear suspension can be increased according to load and road conditions. This is a cold air vent. This is a hot air vent. It can be switched from hot to cold depending on weather conditions. And again, we have the various chrome trims that were added to the bike. The standard footrest is purely a bar that comes out. This footrest was added, Willie, can you lift your foot please? Last night again, with the brake pedal and a larger footrest for the rider. Moving on to the behind the driver, we have the backrest, giving the driver added comfort, and the armrests, which swing out of the way for access for the passenger.
For Coca-Cola.
Yep. There's storage compartments for cigarettes and Coca-Cola.
Yes.
There are grab rails for the rider, the passenger, sorry. The various kick plates, other accent parts on the panniers, the boxes, which are quite large incidentally. And again, rails around the boxes and the lights down the side of the bike. Here we have the luggage rack, the handrail for opening the bike. Incidentally, Willie's name on here is in, and his company name, is in 22 karat gold. There's very accents, there's the name of the bike, the Goldwing, all the lighting around the side, and again the crash bars. The panniers open both sides, very high luggage capacity. Closes very easily. And stays open like so. We've got a bit more work to do on the back. There's a number of emblems going on the back here. There's a light bar going around the bottom. And there's some corner markers coming up either side. And there'll be a chrome plate behind the number plate. I'm not sure, but I believe that this is the only motorcycle that has a reverse gear, which is this lever here, allowing the driver to maneuver the bike quite easily at walking distance, walking speed in reverse. Again, the added floorboard with the gear shift. And the other details are the same as on the other side of the bike now.
Thank you very much for everything. God bless you. Thank you. Bye-bye. Next time we're passing, you'll pop in and will you? Send her the Christmas card. Thank you. I'm just waiting for Dave. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Scotland is better than England. That's my opinion. And the weather, yeah, it's similar like Sweden, so we are used to it. The wet weather, you see.
It's a lot of freedom. Just 2 wheels, a tent, some clothes, and you can go everywhere and anywhere. Yes, it's the same. It's a Goldwing feeling. It's difficult on another bike because most of them also haven't the comfort of a Goldwing. So
att jag åker Goldwing har med säkerheten att göra. På vägen hit jag välte, jag fick panikbromsa och hade inte haft Goldwing, en vanlig cykel som inte har motorbågar, väskbågar, då hade inte varit här nu. Kan du förklara det?
He was saying that one of the big aspects for him driving a Goldwing is that it's a very secure bike. He was turned over on the way here, and since we have crash bows on the motors and some of us have also around the bags in the back, he wasn't hurt in any way, And if he hadn't had that security, he wouldn't be here. If you have a Goldwing, you rarely need to be introduced to another Goldwinger. If you come to a town, you have problems. Most of the times, if there is a Goldwing in the town, if it's a small town, everybody knows the Goldwing. You just ask anybody, and if you have problems and need some help, you could go to that person that owns the Goldwing and you get the help. So it's just togetherness through the Goldwing.
That was screen. All right, now everybody all right. Keep in touch sometime, will you?
Okay, yes.
John, any photographs yesterday?
Have to get on very ladylike. Excuse me,
And you wanted a bit of thought in it, didn't you?
A wingding is where a local club or a local region, let's say, has a wingding, has a get-together where you maybe have about 70 or 80 bikes, whereas the Treffen is the international one for each company or for each country. So you can go onto the continent. We start with the Belgian, and you can stay on the continent all summer if you wish. It's a real good life if you can afford it. The Irish Treffen is a smaller Treffen. It's more compact, and the atmosphere, well, we only arrived down for one day, so we missed a good part of the atmosphere, although we joined in and we won a couple of awards. A friend, he got the award for the best hurley player in the hurley game, and I got the award for the best outfit, so we came away quite happy. I've got, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4 outfits here that I've either built or had a hand in building. I rode the 1200 as a solo for a year, and the problem is once I put it into the garage I couldn't get it out, so I had to have some means of turning it inside the garage. So I designed this and took a patent out on it, and I'm actually here to try and flog some, so let's hope so.
Yeah, we didn't have a Goldwing to start with. He had a small bike, and he got a sidecar for that, and actually we went round for 12 months without having a sidecar. We didn't think of getting a sidecar, and somebody said, why don't you get a sidecar? I thought, that's a good idea, so we did. And then we saw a Goldwing and thought, yeah, we like them, we'll have one of them. And when we go on a wingding or a Treffen, if there's anything we need, they always, come and help us, or, if we say, like, is there any steps? And some of the ones, they've even built a ramp so that I can get up the steps into the clubhouse where the wingding is and things like this. So they're very good. They decided to start a charity because they used to have a charity every year. They didn't have one this year because they thought they'd have a year off. They didn't think they could top it, you see. And they raised money to buy me an electric wheelchair, and they bought me a top-of-the-range electric wheelchair, £3,000. And they had a trailer bought by they had a trailer made by Squires, and they bought that. And they also had a lot of money left over that they let us spend on the house, and they sort of paid for things for the house to make life easier, like microwave and things like that.
We want to have a marry with our motorbike friends, and I was once married, Hani was once married, and met the family, and now we want to marry with our friends. I love the country and the shoot of Scotland. That's the reason I married in the Scottish Kilt. and yeah, this is, I love Scotland.
First was our plan to marry in Gretna Green, but John and Maureen heard it and they said, why don't you marry in Blair Athol on the Treffen side? So we liked it, and John and Maureen has arranged everything for us. And I was very surprised when I heard that she will do my face and another woman will do the flowers. It was very nice. Our family doesn't know anything about this. And this day they get a letter, and I hope that they're very happy when they heard it. And I think that they are happy.
Do you, Jan, take this woman, Johanna, to be your wedded wife? And do you, in the presence of God and before this congregation, promise and covenant to be to her a loving, faithful and dutiful husband until death do you part?
Yes, I do.
Do you, Johanna, take this man, Jan, to be your wedded husband? And do you, in the presence of God and before this congregation, promise and covenant to be to him a loving and faithful, dutiful wife until death do you part?
Yes, I do.
Can I have the rings, please? As a token of the covenant into which you have entered, these rings are given and received. Jan, first of all, please. Thank you. Always have problems with that. By these signs, you take each other to have and to hold from this day forward, for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, in sickness and in health, to love and to cherish, until death do you part. And forasmuch as you have covenanted together in holy wedlock, and have declared the same before God and this congregation, I now pronounce you to be husband and wife in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. What God has joined together, let not man put asunder.
Blijf staan, blijf staan.
Aan de bike.
Lang zullen ze leven, lang zullen ze leven, lang zullen ze leven in de gloria, in de gloria, in de gloria. Hiep de piep, hey! Hiep de piep, hey! Hiep de piep, hey! Ja, Stani. Oh, je moet wachten. Voor de rest van je leven. Dat is toch, hè?
Volgende markt.
The Treffen itself has been excellent. I think it compares with or is even better in some degrees than the American Treffen. Very well organized. You can tell that the organizers have put a lot of work into it.
We've traveled every state in the United States and all of Canada, and we have never seen scenery like Scotland.
Quite compares.
We can compare the others to things we've seen or that are similar, but this is very unique.
Yeah.
Some of you will understand this and some of you won't. We'll explain to you at the very beginning that we always tell people from overseas that a haggis is like a football. The only thing is you don't kick it, you cook it. After you've cooked it, you eat it. And after you eat it, you wish to God you kicked it. So this is our traditional address to the haggis. Far fae ye honest sonsy face, great chieftain o' the puddin' race. Amang the ma ye tak your place, mong strife and ferrum, and worthy are you o' grace, as langs ma erum. Your groan and trencher there ye fill, your hardies like a distant hill. Your pin would help to mend a mill in time of need, and through your pores the dews distill, like amber bead. The knife's a rustic labour dicht, cut ye up with sickest slick. Trench in your gushing entrails bricht, then what a wondrous sight, warm, reeking and rich. But mark the rustic haggis fade, the earth around trembling its tread. Clapping his walling knave a blade, he'll mak them whistle, and legs and arms and heads he'll sned, like taps o' thistles. Ye powers that mak mankind to care, and dress ye up in bill of fare. Old Scotland wants nae skinking wear, o' japs or luggis. But if ye wish to give her a graceful prayer, give her a haggis.
Restless Natives, a Scottish-based modern Robin Hood story about two lads on a motorbike
who hold up tourist coaches in the Highlands and give the proceeds to the poor. The first bike they use in the film is a Suzuki, but they soon learn sense and move up to a Goldwing.
We had planned this. We planned this for about 6 months to come over to the Scottish Treffen, and we do the difficulties with the bikes and everything. We finally got here regardless. There's 30 of us started out was going to come. 6 of us ended up coming over, and we, the other 2 couples, we rented bikes in London and hit the Irish Treffen in this one, and just having a wonderful time. The people are great.
Yeah, we tried to fly our bikes over, and due to difficulties with the airlines, I ended up borrowing one from a friend that I have corresponded with for several months. We've talked on the telephone and everything, and he said, well, don't worry about it, just come on over and take mine. Very, very generous. People in the States are not that free with loaning out their motorcycles. They're like their wives. They tend to say, she's mine.
We've just finished our own Treffen last weekend in Wicklow, back home in Ireland, and it was a great success. And normally what we do is we run our Treffen the week before the British one, because we have to work pretty hard at our own, and then we take the weekend off and we all come to the British one and we have a good time at that. They like people to be able to say when they're going home that yes, it was a great Treffen, they enjoyed themselves. That's basically what the Goldwing movement is all about. It's about having a good time, about having friendship, and being able to go away for a weekend or go on a holiday and know that you're going to go someplace where everything is organised properly. There's no trouble. It's all well laid out. All the facilities are there, and people can just come and enjoy themselves without any problems. Leave their problems at home. When the movement started first, basically it was just people who had bikes and they enjoyed travelling and touring and things like that. But at this stage, the Goldwing movement has gone far beyond that, because I think throughout Europe there's somewhere between 10 and 15,000 members. And at this stage I can honestly say that I have more friends outside of Ireland than I have in Ireland, which says something for the movement, and I think everybody in the Goldwing movement can say the same thing. And I think from the point of view of the European community, it's probably one of the leading friendship makers that we have in Europe at the moment. You know, there's no barriers. There's people sitting here, there's Germans, English, Irish, everybody sits down. There's no barriers. Once you can speak a common language, that's all you need.
I think for me the most important thing is that it's family oriented. You know, that for me definitely is the most important thing, because kids are very important, and there's no hassle, and you know, everything's provided for, and again it's, you know, it's friendship. But for me definitely family orientation is most important. You know, because I don't like leaving this fella at home. You know, so that's basically why I joined, even though I am in bikes a long time.
We've all discovered, you know, with motorcycling that if it gets into your blood, you just can't leave it. Whether you get married and have kids or whatever, if it's in your blood, you're going to stick with it in some form. And with us, we decided to get a sidecar when the kids were about 2 or 3 years old, because we just couldn't stay away from the bikes.
I don't know if you've heard or not, but this one went off the mountain between Applecross and Skye with my wife and I on board. And it was an experience, I can assure you. I've never experienced crosswinds of that volume, and it swept us off before we knew what was happening.
But the difference in biking in the States is you get on your interstates, which some are compared to what they are here, but you set your cruise control on 65 miles an hour, and it's boring for the next 3 hours until you pull off, you get low on gas. It's just, unless you get off the beaten path, which we don't. We travel the freeways. But the riders over here, the roads we went through on our tour in Ireland, the riders over here, you ride. Over there you sit back, you're kind of lazy. But over here you ride every mile you go, you ride it.
Thank you very much.
Cheerio, my dear.
10th Duke of Athol to the first international gathering of Goldwingers in Scotland.
Long distance travelled male, Hugo Moore, Switzerland. Long distance travelled female, Brigitte Ludwig, GWOCGB. Long distance sidecar, Bernard Lewin, Berlin. The next award is for the oldest driver, George Ziegler, GWOCGB. For the youngest driver, Jason Clark.
Come from Goldwing, which is down near Great Yarmouth. Travelled about 700 miles this week coming up here. The bike's 1500 Goldwing 6-cylinder. It's the only one in the world this colour. It's Dream Machine paintwork and it's in the Martini Racing colours. Getting about 42 to the gallon, very pleased with it. Approximate value about £10,500 at the moment as it stands. The next venture I believe is a sidecar, possibly Watsona and colour matched by Dream Machine again. Another £2,000. Very pleased. I've had 7 Goldwings now. This is without a doubt it's the best one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12,
So if you would please, I would like you to make an enormous circle right round the marquee. Join hands. Everybody please. No, that way and this way. That way, this way. Can we go up the back along the front of the bar and down? Come on everybody. Good, now we have a circle. We have another circle here.
I mean, here we are on Monday morning after quite a few hours of hard work and excitement and people having a wonderful time. I hope they've had a wonderful time. It's very strange after, you know, you plan for such a long time, 2.5 years of planning, and I don't know how many stamps we've posted out all over the world and so forth, that such an event passes so quickly. And I think it's difficult getting the chemical mix of the balance of entertainment, the balance of atmosphere that, you know, you try to get at these particular events. I think, you know, we've tried, our initial thoughts were to try and create an atmosphere that was unique for Scotland, because I think in Scotland we've got, you know, the ingredients that we can put together into a melting pot, if you like, that they cannot recreate elsewhere, no matter how you try. I think we can move to different areas of the country, we can move abroad to foreign countries, and they've also got their particular ingredients. And here in Scotland we've tried to use those, and I think, you know, we've used them successfully, the balance and so forth. And I think the reaction from everybody on site's been very positive, you know, it's been really positive. They've been thankful and so forth. Obviously, there's things that in retrospect you would change slightly, but everybody says, you know, that the organisation's been good and everybody's been friendly and helpful, and I've been very pleased with everybody who's helped with the event. I mean, everybody has really worked their socks off this weekend, from the burger bar to people cleaning the toilets to people working during the early hours of the morning to make sure the security was right. Really good. So I think I'll go away tomorrow like a big balloon. I'm still in tension at the minute, and somebody will stick a pin in me tomorrow and I'll just collapse for a few days. Unfortunately, I'm back at work on Monday, so I'll have to just pull my socks up and I'll be going through a trance next week. So yes, I'm quite happy, quite happy.
His wife Tina Kettle as they were getting their togs on, ready for the kind of freewheeling holiday that beats pounding the beat any day. They took the train as far as Inverness so they could take their time exploring the Scottish Highlands.
Why this part of the Highlands, you ask? Well, they say it has one of the lowest rainfalls in Scotland. We'll see. But if it's true, it has to be good news for a motorcycling holiday. Around 500,000 holidaymakers come here each year, and not surprisingly, 98% of them put sightseeing at the top of their priorities.
Now here's an odd thing. Apparently, there are 1,027,000 motorcyclists in this country, and while we've been up here, apart from ourselves, I've seen 2 others. The only other riders we've seen are from the continent.
Maybe the signposts are better over there.
Well, that would explain it. But there's another funny thing. Half the motorcyclists in this country never get the most out of their machines. Instead of using them for exploring the country, they just potter around the same old routes.
Just look what they're missing.
Mind you, getting the bike on the train isn't the easiest thing in the world. Not all trains have room in the guard's van, and you have to pay the bike's full adult fare. The fuel tank must contain only the minimum amount of petrol. The bike isn't secured, and there's no guarantee of a ramp at either end. Simple, isn't it? Yet a motorbike is a perfect vehicle for touring. I always feel part of the environment, nearer the landscape itself, not boxed in and glazed over as in a car. Do you know what the biggest thrill is? Discovering what's round the next bend.
Don't look now, but it's a car coming in the opposite direction.
No problem. On Highland roads, which are often single track, a motorcycle leaves you streets ahead. There's plenty of room to pass. But the weather's beginning to look a bit murky.
You know, someone told me that they have the least rainfall in the whole of the United Kingdom here. But if you look up there, I think we're going to get it all today.
We're skirting the edge of Loch Maree now. which Queen Victoria thought was the equal of Lake Windermere or Loch Lomond.
Of course, we've got all the right equipment. Gloves, helmets, goggles, leather jackets, one-piece oversuit to keep us dry when it rains, and the ultimate electrically heated gloves. How about that, eh? Here, let's plug you in. And an intercom so that we can talk to each other when we're on the road, or listen to music, whichever you like. Right, you ready? Yep. Let's do it then.
You know, this is what motorcycle touring is all about. The immediacy of the landscape.
We like to keep going until well into the afternoon before thinking about somewhere to stay. If we can't find anything that takes our fancy, we just drive on.
Isn't that a place where Queen Victoria is supposed to have stayed? Do you fancy that?
No, we've got plenty of time. I think we should keep going and look for something else.
Right.
That's how we turned off at a little bridge and discovered the old inn at Gairloch.
Not all grease and Hell's Angels, you know. Be amazed what we can pack into these things.
Look, Eric. I wear that tonight. It's not creased at all.
Great.
There you are. From Mad Max to Champagne Charlie in a few minutes. Ready for dinner then, Tina?
It's lovely, isn't it?
Isn't it? That was well spotted.
All rooms at the Old Inn have their own bathroom. Bed, breakfast and dinner cost £44 per person. A bit more than we usually pay, but we don't believe in skimping on accommodation. Maybe the next place will be cheaper and balance the budget. The scenery looks like those dramatic seascapes you find in art galleries.
And there are 23 mountains rising 2,000 feet or more. Life certainly has its ups and downs.
That shower tray. I ordered the bath and I didn't ask the price of the shower tray because I really didn't think a shower tray would be a lot of money.
Yeah.
And then I got the bill and I thought, oh, bloody hell. That is seriously, that was over £1,000, that shower tray.
Just for the tray?
Yeah, because it's round.
And what's this? This is the,
That's the underfloor heating. I don't know what you call these, but these panels, there's one downstairs for the underfloor heating downstairs. Then there's this one for this floor, and then we've another one for up there.
So this is like a distribution panel, isn't it?
They're all zoned.
So the hot water comes in here, and then each of these, there's little valves there. So each of these is like a zone, is it?
Yeah. Well, if you check, if you look at that, feel that one.
Yeah.
That's the ensuite. Now, we've turned that one off because we're having the floor laid.
Yeah.
And then if you feel that one...
Blimey.
So we can have them all at different temperatures, and it's all...
So you can set each one on these valves?
No, it's on here. It isn't set up yet, but it'll be all on here. Touch.
Hey, nice action.
Beautiful action.
What's inside?
A nightmare.
Is it?
Absolutely stunning boiler with what it can do.
Yeah?
But it's just
What's that, Chad? Does it make tea?
Nearly.
Why did you choose it?
It does everything. You know, you go and switch a tap on, it's firing 22 litres a minute.
Right.
You know, so you can burst the blackheads out the back of your neck when you're having a shower. Really nice little feature on it is if people are around, 2 o'clock in the morning, and the heating goes off, we just come up here and press the two little champagne glasses party mode.